Good evening. Well, good evening in the UK. Could be good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, or it's in the middle of the night for some people like Leah. So this is a Tilt webinar with Priscila Mateini. Is that how you pronounce your name? I'm ever so sorry. I didn't check.
Yes, Mateini.
Mateini.
It's an Italian name.
Ah, molto bene, fantastico. Adoro l'italiano. So it's going online SEN, how to adapt material in an inclusive education virtual classroom. And I've made a mistake again at the end. I've told you, I'm really, really sorry about that mistake there. So we're really, really excited about this. Joe will express his excitement in a minute because I know how much he's been looking forward to this. It's lovely that Joe brings along his friends to speak to us. I'm Helen Myers, I'm chair of the Association for Language Learning London branch. We always thank Heike Philp and Linguascope for helping us set everything up. And before Joe, later on Joe will be introducing the speaker, but Joe, tell us about yourself first of all.
Thank you ever so much, Helen. I'd love to. So I'm an independent languages consultant working incredibly hard, night and day, not getting enough sleep since March, supporting language teachers during the pandemic and trying to make a living at the same time. In the chat, I've just put a Google Doc there, which I know lots of you have seen already, but there are lots and lots of ideas there which you could use to promote remote teaching or hybrid model or lots of ideas you could use in a face-to-face situation as well. So the reason I'm sharing that with you is because if you would like any help with the context that we find ourselves in, I'm more than happy to help. If your department or individually you'd like to get in contact with me, we could do webinars and I can support you that way as well as on Twitter as well. But I do need to make a living as well and I'm trying very hard to do so. But all the TELT webinars are free and will carry on to be free as well. Over to you, Helen.
Thank you very much, Joe. I'd like to make a plug for ALL. If you're a member of any language association, whether it's the Association for Language Learning or an association in your own country, please could you write that in the chat now to say that you belong to an association and to say why it's worthwhile being in an association, because we might have people here who aren't, and it would be nice for them to be encouraged to join. If you join our association tonight or up until the 30th of September, you can get a 10% discount if you use this code webinar 10. So being a member means that you're part of a community of language teachers. We have lots of training together. And also it means that you have people who are representing languages at a higher political, higher level. We store all of the webinars as a link. Joe puts it onto his Joe Dale 100 YouTube channel. And then we have a page reserved for each webinar where we'll have a link to Joe's channel, but also a picture, chat, and anything else to do with the webinar. Coming soon, do you want to talk about, well, I'll talk about the first one. For people in the UK, starting as a newly qualified teacher in September is going to be quite daunting because you didn't train right up towards the end. We're going to be giving you a free webinar on Tuesday, the 20th of August, where people who've had recent experience of being newly qualified teachers will share their practice. I mean, I say it's for the UK. This will be the same in a lot of countries. So you're very welcome to come and join us on Tuesday, the 25th of August. Do you want to talk about the other one then, Joe, next Saturday?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so for our last Tilt webinar of August 2020, we have Isabel Jones, who I know a lot of people will know watching the webinar right now. But Isabel is going to be talking about one of her favourite topics, which is the use of music in the languages classroom and how music can be used to help memory and language learning in general. So the presentations that Isabel will give are always absolutely full of ideas, full of links as well. She's really, really generous with everything that she does, and she gives references to everything that she covers as well. So I would really encourage you to come along live, and if you can't make it live, then obviously you can watch the recording. As always, will be on my YouTube channel, and we're up to about 52, 53 sessions since March. So Isabel will be the last one before we sort of start back to school in September.
Thank you very much, Joe. So we always make this announcement that whether you're on Zoom or on YouTube, please be aware of our etiquette. We're professional, we're kind, everybody is always at these webinars, but we just remind people that we don't rant at any point. And a disclaimer that ALL is very happy to host speakers and participants free of charge. Speakers and participants are responsible for what they say. So, the bit that we've all been waiting for. Joe, could you introduce our speaker for today, please?
I would love to, Helen. Thank you. So Priscilla and I have known each other for quite a few years. We met at the IATEFL conference. There's always a big group of Brazilian English teachers who come to IATEFL. And it's been my absolute pleasure to meet lots and lots of them, including Priscilla. And normally what happens is during the day, it's a very, very full-on event. But in the evening, it's very nice to have sort of quiet, relaxing times. And I nearly every single day when we're at the IATEFL conference, I will eat out with Brazilian people, including Priscilla. And Priscilla is a lovely, lovely person. So Priscilla and I share interest in music as well. So it's not all about language learning. We also have a big interest in music from the 80s and the 90s, which is lovely. But the reason we've asked Priscilla to come along this evening is because she's a real expert in special educational needs. And I thought that to do with the program that I've helped to put together with Helen, that it would be a really helpful webinar to have Priscilla talking about strategies that can be used in the teaching of languages for children with special educational needs, because I would imagine that that in particular, they must have found the experience of the last few months very worrying, very scary, and anything that we can do to help to give them access to the resources, be it in a remote teaching context, a hybrid context, or a face-to-face context, which I know Priscilla is going to be covering in the session. And also, I've seen Priscilla's presentation already, and it's fab. It's really fab. It looks really good as well, but the content is really great. So over to you, Priscilla. I know Priscilla's feeling a little bit nervous, but you've got nothing to be worried about. We're all here to enjoy and to learn from you and with your experience. And it's really fantastic to have people from all over the world joining us. And today we have Priscilla talking to us live from Brazil. So you can tell us maybe what time it is there, and then we can...
It is 4 o'clock,
4 o'clock.
4:10.
Yeah. As opposed to Leah, it's now after 2 o'clock in the morning. So we have Priscilla 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and yeah, so it's just wonderful having people from all over the world. That's one of my favorite bits. I know that's a big thing for Helen as well.
Oh, it is, because just now I was outside and I'd got everything going, and I just said to my husband, I said, do you realize that sound is coming from Brazil? I'm still absolutely amazed, and I love it. Things like, somebody has a window open and you hear some traffic go past and you think, just incredible. So
yeah, it's
lovely that you've come this go to bring us all together. So
no, you're welcome. So over to you, Priscilla. If you want to share your screen, we'll get started if that's okay. We can hear you loud and clear. It's lovely.
All right. So
and
let me share here.
Fantastic. And then if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, give us some context, and then we can go from there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joy, for being this opportunity here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Brazil. I live in Brazil, but in fact, I'm from Spain. I'm from Barcelona. I was born there, and then I was raised here in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. So nowadays I work in São Paulo and also in Rio. I am a professor at the Universidade Federal do Rio de Janeiro. It is a huge university here. And also I teach kids with special needs. Not only kids, but nowadays is teenagers and adults, because I am in the free segment. So I teach from basics to higher education. So I could see how the special needs student needs help, needs our support, because there are many people out there that needs to be in contact with the education, but they are not access. Until 2020, there are lots and lots of students out of school. And that's the problem that we face not only here in Brazil, but also in many other countries, okay? But I'm here to tell a little bit about why I decided to do special needs. In 2013, I had the opportunity to teach a student. He is nowadays an adult, but he was diagnosed as a Down syndrome. and his mother put him in a school, in an institution, an English institutional school, to get him more sociable. And we didn't know how to work with him, so we have to prepare materials and also to engage him to the classroom. And I was selected to teach these children. So the time was really tough because we didn't know anything what today we have about special education and also about inclusive education. And all the things that we trying to implement in the class was about praxis. So we practice our ability to create and to develop materials that would make them to helpfully to him to get together, to all the students together. So after that, I decided to do other courses. So some of them was about specializing, about special education. And also then about 2 years ago, I finished my mastery about inclusive education. And that was making all sense to me and how I could be more prepared to know how to deal with this kind of students and also to deal with all kinds of people, yeah, because we are all different. We have different opinions, different backgrounds, and that's why make special education and inclusive education so important to me. So first of all, when we're talking about adaptation, we have to know about our students, yeah? So when we decide to create a material that will be in practice to our student, we have to know what special necessity these students will come to us to our classroom. Most of the time, the adaptation, we do it because we have their diagnosis. So the parent give it to the school or what the student has.
Oh, you okay, Priscilla?
Them the student go to school without knowing that he has some special or a neurodiversity. So this is a problematic thing for us teachers because we don't know how to deal with this student and how to create the materials. That is why we all the time that we are talking to other students and also to the staff room or with the coordinator, we bring or most of the time to them say that the students have difficulties in learning during the learning process, or that the student doesn't like the class, or that his behavior is totally different from the others, and we don't know how to get these situation all together in the room. And of course, this room, a physical room, a school, it is around 20, 25, 30 students, depends on the region. So here in Brazil, it is easily to find the rooms, crowded rooms with 4 or 5 special needs students and only one teacher. It is really complicated, and not knowing what these students has, it is really complicated to lead the class. So that's why that when we're talking about adapting material, the most important is to be knowing what your students have. When we're talking about SEN, as this is an acronym that we use, is stand for Special Educational Needs. Most of the time we are talking about autism, dyslexia, Down syndrome, and also AG, and many more. Okay, because this is I put these four because it is more what appear more in my classes. It is not only a basic, for example, high school or high education, because it's appear in every level. So everybody here have taught or is teaching a student with a special need. And that not knowing this kind of adaptation has been very tough for everybody, even to the student, because they almost the time do not continue the student, they get away, they run away from school, or they continue but producing too low. And that is the problem that many students do not finish the regular years that was supposed to do, or quit the schools that is more specific from many people that I have been in touch with. And also, when we're talking about adaptation, it's not only adaptation between the teacher and the student. It is all about the teachers, the student, and the family. The family is very important to give the support to help the student to overcome the difficulties. But when you don't have the support of your family or the support of your teacher, it's really complicated for this student, and it is better for them to quit or just be on a class and let it go as it was just to be there, but he or she will not learning anything. Okay, so based on the adaptation, I have to follow some things that was to be structured. So this structure that I was back, and I'm talking about back to 2013, I have many methodology that would help me a lot with my student, my first student with a Down syndrome. But it was not the ideal one, was not the good one for him. So I tried many methodology and also approaches, content, we changed curriculum, but there was something there that was not good enough for making him sociable and productive during the class. In 2014, I was invited to go to Washington, D.C., United States, to participate in a conference called Autism Speak. So I received the invitation, and I went there because it was about the topic of my research, and also I decided to go because I would like to hear about new things that would appear in that time. That was the time that I heard about UDL, Universal Design for Learning. So it is a kind of, some people tell it is approach, others tells it is a kind of methodology, but in fact it's like a framework, it's a process. So you can implement in this methodology that you are already working on, but it is something that will really help you to understand your classroom. The principal idea from the universal design is that the classroom is filled full of different kinds of students. Yeah. So here in Brazil, we are not so. Our reality is a little bit different from the reality from Europe. For example, if I'm talking about refugees, I'm talking about foreigners, or even special needs, this kind of student would be better, work it better with this kind of universal design for learning, because they have different backgrounds and they have different needs. Yeah. So with this idea, the universal design for learning was not create, but elaborate to develop and engage the student in a better way for learning. Yeah. So in these different situations that we was, in my case, I was living, because it was my first time teaching a special needs student, because that time I didn't have any contact with foreigners or refugee students. So for me, the UDL would be applied for special needs, helped me a lot to interact with them. Yeah. So what we when we don't uh, have a tool or methodology or even approach that you can construct meaning or can construct to you the idea of learning all together, it was UDL that helps me a lot that time. So the first thing that I saw that was that remove all the barriers that it was created in my classroom. So that moment I started to develop with my class some strategies that would be better for not for the student with special needs, but for everybody. So working peers, working groups, creating some situation that they would be work all together would be better for me to implement the adaptation from the textbook that I have to use in the curriculum for that school that I was teaching that moment. So the idea of the UDL that time was for me that was flexible, use many kinds of interaction and activities. Also, I could bring different kind of books, and the idea of the learning process would not break or would not be apart for what I was being teaching. So this was very important for me that time, and the engagement that I could see that the student was getting more in contact with the others was more than the previous one that I trying to beat it out. So as I've been all the time practicing exploratory practices in my classroom, because most of the things that I was working with was something that I was learning by my experience, that bringing the idea of the UDL in my reality could give me more confidence. So that helps me a lot. So I could see my student outcome improve so easily, and that helps me a lot to prepare with more attention the materials that I would use with my special needs. So that moment I saw that my student was not left behind. So all was together, working together, and that was a moment of really improvement for that. But UDL can be used in all classes. Yes, I tend to use it nowadays at the university. So we know that the university will work with young adults and adults, and that it is they have their background, different background. Well, as I work in a huge university, I have students from other countries. So nowadays I work with foreigners. So with this different background, cultural aspect, and also the different ideas that we have, I could put all together and in a form that I know that each student has their own pace. We cannot say that all the students will do brilliantly everything. No, everybody have different pace. So that is what UDL helps me a lot, not only for special needs, but also for my whole classes. So, but before this pandemic that caught all of us by surprise, yeah, because we heard about China, about Europe, but we here in Brazil was a far away country. We didn't think that would be in a massive situation that we are living here. So now we are in quarantine. Our quarantine is getting each day more flexible, but in some city we still have lockdown. And for São Paulo, the city where I am living right now, we have to create different adaptation for students that never been online. So that was something that it was totally taken us totally by surprise. So the moment that my coordinator told me that it was necessary for me to readapt all the materials that I have done for face-to-face classes was really complicated because some of my students, the special needs ones, they do not have the interaction on computer. For them, the computer are the place that they play Minecraft or the games, they watch YouTube. Not any time in their life would be a place to learn. So that was the problematic that we have to figure out how we could improve to bring things from school to our online environment. Um, the moment that we talking about school, we have a face-to-face peer work, but then we have to do with a Zoom classes. How can I see my student with special needs the distraction, observing his actions? Yeah. So this was something that was really complicated at the beginning. What we trying to do it is work with the parents. So the moment that we went online, we asked the parents to contact us immediately because we would change the way that we would teach their sons or their kids. So when we decided to use Zoom, um, it wasn't in the first time did not work as we thought would be. So the student, when they didn't want to listen to us, they turned off the computer and the class was over. So what we did here in Brazil, we have a different tool that helps us a lot. I don't know if you have heard about it, but WhatsApp here in Brazil is an effective tool for schools. In other countries, USA or Europe, WhatsApp are used more the time to private conversation, not for teacher to student, but in Brazil is common because here we have a lack of connection. And also, not everybody has a computer at home. So our reality is a little bit complicated. But everybody has a cell phone and everybody has a smartphone. So in this moment of a pandemic, so the WhatsApp here in Brazil was the most important tool to achieve the classes to our students. So what we did, we created groups in Facebook, in WhatsApp, and also we put it the Zoom classes all together. When the student was not paying attention to what was doing during the class, the Zoom classes, we was sending message to the parents. So take a look, he is not here anymore. So could you please take him back? So the parent was in contact with us. The class was not less for 4 hours. So we have to reduce it for 1 hour only, because some student cannot get enough 1 hour. Have to put it on 40 minutes, or 1 hour is enough. And the social interaction, well, there was not face to face. Yeah, so they was not supposed to be there, hug or kissing, because here we hug and kiss everybody. So there was more different. So for us, for our cultural aspect, that we are more people who hug, people who are in connect with each other all the time. This interaction between the internet or by online would be very poor. But the engagement was all the connection between the student and the tool that was offered for him. So that was the moment that a suggestion from parents that we get contact with, they create a group of, of course, you have an adult that is there to monitoring them to see what they are doing, if there is no bullying, something related to this. But it was a tool that helped us a lot. So to putting together WhatsApp and Zoom would be make it the lockdown, the classes online better for us. But about the distraction, what happens to us when we saw in a classroom, in a real, that people say the real classroom, but a virtual class is a real class because everybody is real. So uh, there was the distraction itself. But what we did, so the distraction, we was as I would not work in pairs or also in a group, the student with special needs would be in contact with me, like face to face here, like I'm talking to you right now. So if he looking upside down, I would try to get his attention with me. But this was the parent must be all the time with them. So that was the moment that we sat that 10 minutes with student and 10 minutes outside the room that we would go and breathe a little bit and come back, and this would help us, and it really helped during the class what we was going on. The learning autonomy that we saw during these 4 months that we are facing the lockdown, the quarantine, has improved a lot. So as I'm talking about the students that I teach, they are not little ones. They are not 5, 6 years old in these ages, but they are now teenagers. So for them, uh, I put it the material available on Google Classroom, and then when the time of it was the class, I asked him, so did you read? Oh no, I didn't read. So what happens? I don't like it because it was boring, because this and that, something else. So what what was the link between the autonomy that we was trying to build it up? It was not so good enough. But change the strategies that I will show to you right away, we could improve. So in 2 months now, we see we real putting the data, analyzing them, we could see that um, the 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 their autonomy changed it a lot. So now they know how they know that time it is time to study. They know that they have to read. They know that they have to do the exercise. And after that, the class will be taken by Zoom. Or there are some classes that we invert. So we have the class first, the Zoom connection, we discuss, we use the materials, and then they have the time to do the activities. So this kind of changing the schedule, what we didn't do this during the classes, helped them a lot in their autonomy. So in this feedback that we received from their parents, and also because we graded uh, every week, so we could see that they develop themselves. Something that we thought that would be a totally disaster, it is given to us a light that they can work in on an online environment. Maybe uh, it is gonna be a little bit difficult, not so no so easy that the traditional one, but the online will improve themselves. But it is something new for everybody. So um, after this pandemic, maybe we're gonna see lots of researches and articles talking about that, because we are now like doing our research. We are implementing many situations, creating many possibilities to try to develop something that maybe in 1-2 years would be the best for special needs students. So the strategies that we tend to use for online to teach them online was scaffolding, that giving them support. The support would be by WhatsApp, by an email, or also by using some um, activities that we try to implement in the process. The interactions that we trying to use with the student was something that we trying to recreate what happens to the class. So we tended to film, we try to record our audios, uh, retelling story, use storytelling, and these activities that trying to use the interactions more than the time that we used to be on class and on school at school. The interference that we use it a lot when the student all the time interrupt us or we interrupted them was not so, was very important to us to see our teaching talking. So this time on the online classes, I could see that I give you more opportunity for my student to speak than the time that I was at school. So my students have the opportunity to put their critical thinking or their opinion, they express their uh, their necessities. So this was the most important things that I saw during the pandemic. The mistakes that would be a huge problem for many students, the mistake that they produce on the regular classes at school, we brought it to the online classes. So some activities that they did on the classroom, we brought to the online to discuss. And we could see that most of the mistake that they reproduced was because they didn't learn it for real, or because it was a lack, just a lack that they, oh, something that I know, but I at that moment I didn't put it to say it. So most of the time that we working now with these strategies, we could see that our students tend to be more motivated and also engaged to the whole situation, because we have to bring it to them the reality what's going on, because one time they were happy playing around in the school, and now they are locked down in their homes. And for special needs students, their homes are not school. It's complicated. The association about school and homeschooling are totally different from a regular student. So this is the moment that we have before getting to the class itself. We have to tell him a story or asking about how is your day, how was your weekend, what did you do, do you play games, or did you saw movies, something like that, because we have to get this interaction to see how he is improving themselves. Because when we're talking about social distancing, for us that we don't have any necessity, it has been really tough. Some of us get anxious or depressive or feel alone. Imagine a student with a special needs that he is now going out, living the world that they created in their mind, and one moment they lose their everything, because now they have to stay at home because there is a pandemic. It's a little bit difficult. That is the moment that these strategies, using the help for a multidisciplinary team that we get for a psychiatrist or a psychologist, that help us to deal with this moment of vulnerability, because they are vulnerable. So they don't know what's going on. They know that is a virus, but why it came? These idea, they don't measure the idea of abstract. A pandemic, but where, what, why I cannot go to school? So this is something that is all the time parents and teachers are arguing. Do they know exactly what it is happened to the world today? So this is what we are doing, using these strategies to help them. And uh, of course, as they are the idea of imitation. So what do we do? These strategies about using imitation is that we pick it up some videos from some famous artists and show them. See, take a look. These artists here at home, like you are. So you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be sad. Everybody is at home, are at home. So you don't have to feel guilty about that, or don't be so devastated. The teacher is here with you. So we're trying to use this kind of strategies to bring them to their reality and show them that we all together in this situation. They are not alone. What we use also about the materials and the apps that they love to work is that nowadays that we have technology helping us a lot, and the students, most of the students nowadays are totally technologicals. Like we can see, they use tablets, they use smartphones, laptops, so they are connected everywhere. So this helped us a lot to put all them together. And here is something that I would like to share with you. So um, there is a tool that I think that some of you have been working with your students in any time, or if you never ever have the opportunity to work with, I suggest you to work because it is very interactive. Here, it was adaptation for a material that I did about Spanish classes. It was together with the teacher. She asked me to some help because she didn't know how to work with the numbers and something that would be very important to use some tech to them. So I suggested the Kahoot to her. So I use it a lot for my English classes. I do not teach Spanish class, but I did this one for her, and she loved it. This one it is just three people play it because it was just something that I created and I share with her. But this was a good tool, and they love to play, and we can play it all by together. So if I'm going to play with them online, I can use them for virtual classes like you can see here. So I set up what I want. I put it them to play this game, and this is gonna be something that we will instigate them to, because it is game. Most if you get more and more, you're gonna get more point, and they love to play. Kids love to play this kind of things. So and this helped us a lot during this pandemic, and maybe she will implement during the post pandemic, because in September here in Brazil, we will be back. So our school will be back. And we don't know how during this pandemic will be the classes will be full-time, part-time, but we will, the idea of living online teacher will be anymore this thing that people would say, oh, now come back, no more online. No, the idea here is to put it, the idea of online activities more and more in our curriculum here in Brazil. So, and this was something that they interact too much. The other things that we interact too much with our student was this here. Can you see it, this?
Yep, absolutely fine. Looking
Yeah?
great. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a project-based learning using Minecraft. So many
Oh,
people
sorry,
will
sorry,
say
Priscilla.
that you
Sorry,
use.
Priscilla.
Yes.
We can see the Kahoot page. Are you wanting to
Oh,
share another
ahora, but
PowerPoint?
not the Minecraft. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Sorry.
While you're doing that, can I just ask? I love the way that you were saying how you connect with the parents with the children with special educational needs. I was wondering what the reaction was of the children when you were telling the parents via WhatsApp that their children weren't concentrating. How did they react to that? Were they frustrated, or did they find it was okay?
Oh, they like it because for them they was interacting. Yes.
Okay.
So when they had received the message, oh, check it out if the student is online.
Mm-hmm.
When they go across the student, he's playing video game or he's doing something else. So this is something that would be like a spy, yeah? So
Yeah,
the parents would
exactly.
be our spy to see what they are doing. But the student react not so so good.
Yeah.
But then they know that it was like a routine. This happened once, we say, oh, that's okay. Happen twice, we take it, not take points, but we like put it like something like would say a message. Oh, next time
Mm.
I will call your parents. So the third time is parents. There is no fourth time. So it is something that is really, it was good. It was good. And in this situation, there is this classroom is 20 students for special needs. And the 20 students, just one parent uh, argue that my son has a freedom of speech. So if he doesn't like, he doesn't like. He doesn't participate, he doesn't participate. So, but he's a child. So, but we have to respect. So there's time we just say in a forum that the parents ask not to be approached by the absence of the student. So it is, parents are different from many situations. So happens a lot, Joey.
That's
But it's
fantastic.
good.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining the routine. That's really, really interesting. That's wonderful. So let's have a look at Minecraft. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing some. We haven't done Minecraft yet at all in the Talk webinar, so it'd be great to see how you're using it with your children.
All right, okay. So this is a project that I will not say all of them, but it's a project that we did in a in 2017, and nowadays is in the part of the curriculum. Was about two classes because the two classes was to interact. And this situation, because of the pandemic, they create their world that they are playing. Maybe they are playing right now, and they have some quest. So the quest that we set up nowadays, we are talking about science, math, and English. So we work with a multidisciplinary discipline. So the subjects that we have the same project we are working with. So science, because we are talking about minerals, miners, and also mathematics because of the quantity of the wood and silver, ivory we have to use it during in the process of building in the Minecraft. And the English because the tools. You can select the language. You can put a Spanish, French, Germany, Portuguese, English. Because of the project is based on English, so we are using them in English. And the classes that we selected was the 8th grade with 20 students in each class. Yeah, so now we have 40 students practicing these three subjects using Minecraft. One of the situation is that I just know one teacher that are doing the project similar with this in the south of Brazil, in Florianópolis, in a public school. But here in Rio, we are trying to do it in a private school in São Paulo as well. So I really don't know. I didn't have the records. about this kind of project, Minecraft in public schools in Rio or São Paulo. So I only know about Florianopolis. But I know that in some countries, for example, United States, UK, they are doing this for many classes. And there are lots and lots of discussions in forums. So there are they use these forums to play, but also to study. These kids nowadays are really demanding because and challenge ourselves. So we have to be updated every year because the technology is too fast. And if we go and say, oh no, I will not participate, you'll be back. So it is not what we are supposed to do. And of course, there was a part of the school assessment. So we decided that the assessment for this project would be uh, like would be the same as the written test. So because they prepared everything, so it was a huge project, and they created as they would be doing a writing. What the parents, the feedback that we received from the parents is that the fluency in English and also the idea of strategies, yeah, the idea of playing, but also use strategies to build, to attack, or to recreate a world, it was very helpful for their lives. So they have a routine. So this routine, they use it during their life. So the parents was most of them give us a good feedback. So that was really grateful for us because at first it was only in English. I did that because of the idea of storytelling, as I can show you here. The idea was to develop their creativity because it was the time that Minecraft was in the top of the top. Everybody was playing. There was books. There was everything. So, and the kids who really want to get their games in their activities, not putting things that was not related to their lives. So that was very nice. So that was one of the project that gave us a lot of surprise, and also it gave us the idea that using this kind of material would be a great learning opportunity. You can see here, Joy.
Yes,
You
yeah.
can see.
Is that a video? Is it you're playing?
No, it's the game. I have
Oh,
to
the actual game.
install the
Wow, you're actually
game.
showing the game. Okay, wow, this is very cool.
Yes, we has the game. So the game, because I don't know, my internet is not so good. I think it is a little bit slowly, but the idea of the games is to make the student to recreate themselves in this Minecraft world. So most of the time that we are using here is in Portuguese because I I was working with my son because nowadays he was working too. But you here you can play, you put that, you have the idea how to play. So the one that is there is already created. So there you're gonna have some quest. This quest is gonna help you to rebuild what you supposed to do in a class. So they have to create a world that would be free of coronavirus. Imagine that. The idea that we use it, so it's not open. So I will. Joy is not
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
So,
Do you
but
think
you
yeah, I think people get the idea, but I think
get the
it's probably,
idea.
I think your connection is not fast enough maybe to play.
No, no, no. It would be perfect, but it's not.
It's okay.
It's
Don't
not.
worry. It's fine.
It's
We've
not
got an
okay.
idea. That's great.
So, these interaction about the bringing the reality to the Minecraft to the special needs students helps a lot them because they recreate stories. They create their own stories. So they are their own character in the game. So they create the schools. They use the ability to create different environment. So places where they want to be, they want to go when the pandemic is over. So this is the idea to work it out with the pandemic in this concept was really helpful for us. And the student get more attached to what is happening in the world today. He was not aware was going on. And that was that we decided to create this here. We create a feedback for the parents about all the activities that we was building up with them, creating with them, engaging with them, and all these activities that they was supposed to get involved. The parents have to give us this feedback. So they could as you can see, and the Portuguese in a bilingual school. So this is they are allowed to speak in Portuguese and English at the same time. So if the parent do not know how to speak in English, they have to put it there in Portuguese because we need to know how is the activities going on. And if the activity is not uh, achieve the main goal that it is about the learning, the social interact, what this is what we want to hear from the parents. This form that we create in two situations. So about the online activity, as you can see here, have the activity sent by the teacher, were designed for the student with special educational needs, or what kind of activity were more difficult to work with the children remotely, because we send activities from the children by email, so and also by Google Classroom. And there are some activities that we level the content. So basic, intermediate, advanced. When we send the basic, it's okay. There is no problem. We don't get any. When we put a high level of activity, we receive it in right away. So the parents contact with us, or I could not do it. It's really difficult, really demanding. I don't know how to work with them. And that is what we want to hear from them. The other things that we put it there was the feedback about interaction and behavior. uh, this interaction and the behavior is that the student has a kind of behavior in the school. They used to work with no problem, interact with the peer, and the group teamwork was okay. But when we move it to our online activity, online classrooms, so the behavior changed, and some of them changed a lot. So that's why we want to know what kind of problems they faced during the online activity. One of these is that if the parents observed any mood changing, so like distraction, burnout, meltdowns, most of these burnout and meltdown, we are related to autism. So as we have more autism than dyslexic kids, so we tended to get to understand. And when we have this, oh, they have a day that was totally meltdown. He didn't want to study, he cried, was extremely exhausted. So what we do, we send psychiatry or psychologist. So, and she planned to get online with the parent and to get more information about that. As we are teacher, we cannot diagnose, we cannot consult anything about that. So we have to point out and give the direction that the parent and the multidisciplinary team will help us to make it better for their difficulties that they are facing, because we are facing hard times for special needs. And going back to the presentation, let me go back there.
So with Minecraft, Priscilla, can I just check? So is everyone taking part in the same Minecraft activity, or are they all working on Minecraft independently?
No, they are the same, all
Right.
the same.
Okay. Okay.
We create a room because we can put a room, and of course there are not 20, 40 in the room, but we create 5 rooms for 5 students, and they interact in that. That's why they engage them like a group work, a teamwork. So, and it has been very, very interesting because the first time that we did that was they work in a lab, on a school lab, in 5 students who taking notes and doing that. Now, no, now we are like a facilitators. We are observing them doing all these activities, but we are there as like playing, a player with them, but not the way that I did in the last year, that we did it all in the lab. So it was face-to-face, computer, and we was programming, something like this. But nowadays, no. Nowadays we have to set up the date, so they go there, and we prepare what we have to do. The task and the quest are sent in, and they have to create there, and then observing the class by time to time. So they have 20 minutes to create the task. So they have to create, for example, a supermarket with fruits, vegetables, and some situation around it, and they have 20 minutes to provide it. So that is the situation that we put it down to them. That the last year, no, the last year we are all together and we planning. So it was face to face, and was very nice because we got in contact with the other student. They was supposed, let me show. No, it's not here. They were supposed to go around the lab, so it was very interactive. But now we have a different idea of interaction, so they can interact by using WhatsApp and also by creating their world, doing the programming on the Minecraft.
That's fantastic. I absolutely love it. So is the challenge, is the task written in English for them, and but do
All
they
in
then
English.
speak to each other? Do they speak to each other in Portuguese or in English?
They have to do all in English.
Okay.
Each is allowed because it is a bilingual school. Yeah. Some
Okay.
of them there are lack of level. There are levels for basic, intermediate, and also there are kids that are advanced because live outside Brazil. So they are multi-level student. That moment that one could not speak properly to the other, we decided from with them they can speak a little bit in Portuguese, but the production and also the presentation of the project that they have to bring to us all in English. So they have to run up and try to improve themselves.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It is challenging.
Yeah.
It is very challenging because uh, if they know how to say some, how do you say this in English? The other one help them. So it is a very good teamwork. They do not work alone. It is prohibited to work alone because the idea is to interact. The situation is to use these the environment of Minecraft to get favorite project. I have been working with many others, but the Minecraft is the ones that we have 100% of success because they love play games and the age it is very important to them. So improves a lot in personal and also in educational life. So they are different. Each year we saw them with different point of view, critical thinking, learn autonomy. We build it up. It is not by the continuity of the project. Each year change the project, but including these principles, the student can be a different adult, very open-minded adult. That's what we want them to do, and very inclusive because we have to know that everybody is different. Nobody is equal. So we tend to use this. We have the equality. We want to everybody have the equal rights, but we know that we are different people. We have different background, and this is what makes us a very special.
Yeah, you're really inspiring everyone in the chat, Priscilla. It's wonderful. People are going to definitely try this out. I think it's just great stuff. I'm quite aware of time. I don't know if we want to move on to the sort of the final couple of slides, if that's okay.
I think it is the slides is about the ideas that I use it to work with my students in special needs. That was memory game, dictation, flashcards. The storytelling is about the Minecraft, all these Kahoots that we use it a lot. So autism and IGAG ideas are most not say the same, but we can work it together because some autism must have be a little bit of ADHD. So there is not, they are not totally apart. They are together. So we tend to use the ideas, but of course, each one is tailor-made for each student, okay? So I cannot work with a memory game for all this autistic child because it's not gonna work. But I can work a memory game with AGAG using the strategy of the autism. There is no problem. All right. So this is the portfolios that we use is about Google Docs. We send the portfolio to their parents, and also stay one printed at school, because the minister, the education system, all the end of the year recollect and bring it to be, not bring it, they pick it up from the school to see if the student get the grades, and the process that all bureaucratic process that have to be done. So this is what they do. We when we're talking about assessment for autism, we don't grade about 0 to 100. We use good, very good, relevant, and fair. We don't use the numbers, because it is we cannot quantify, but qualify how was their works. So that is what the schools here in Brazil are adopting. So we have this here, and we don't use any more numbers to grade students with special needs. So we evaluated them by the idea of uh, giving them quality. So good, not very good, excellent, fair, or relevant. Okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Because
The
in the
idea of
chat, sorry,
dyslexia.
so I was just going to say in the chat, one of the attendees asked about how do you grade the students. So that's really interesting to hear that you did that via praise, etc. That's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, because the grades is really complicated, and we know that the world grades everybody. Yeah, the system, the educational system needs to grade, because the numbers that you have to require to go to the university, because it's a system. But nowadays in the university where I teach, we have a process of accessibility. So our university is the only one in Brazil nowadays doing this. Of course, there are other universities that are in assess students with special needs that are attending university nowadays by different way of doing, for example, SAT, PIASA, or ENEM, by numbers. No, we, of course, we put it them to recreate, doing a written activity. We use speaking activities. We tend to ask them about their personal life. We evaluate with a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and then he will be accept or not. And most of the time they are accept, because they have the diagnosis, the health problem. Yeah, not health problem, but a disorder or something like this. It's not so difficult nowadays for special needs students in Brazil to get into a university. A long time ago would be none. But I think in Barcelona and also in Uruguay, we have more accessible assessment for high education. I really don't know about UK, so I tried to research about it, but I didn't get too much information about that. But maybe I know in Barcelona, Spain, and Uruguay, and here in Brazil, we have this idea of accessibility and higher education. The dyslexia idea, we have to have some ideas differently, because the dyslexic student, they know the things, but to put it on the paper or to speak is that they confusing them. Yeah, so that is more we contextualize most of the time using pictures. So just describe this postcard from London. What can you see? And they started to telling stories. That is the moment that we know that there's like children or students are really interesting. The dyslexic mind is nowadays, there are lots of studies doing. It is one that it is very brilliant. So we know there are many famous people that are dyslexic, and they are brilliant. So they know how to use strategies, but when they have to write, there is a problem. But this is only a situation. The strategies gonna help them, but they are available. So president of mentees them to reflect what they have thinking and how they reproduce and how they create. So it's really interesting. And of course, all these strategies for autism, dyslexia, ADHD, and they have to get in routines all the time. You cannot use without routines. It's impossible for that, because they have to, their mind works as a routine. If we take it off a routine, it's gonna be disconstructive. So it's gonna be difficult for them, okay? So here is a use of the apps. Some apps that I have been using a lot for some years for autism, from EOS Games is a site that I use until today. They work in iPad, Android, everywhere. You can play, you can print, you can do whatever you want. It's fantastic. For me, it's one of the ones that I work so much. Minecraft, if you are schooling and gaming, the whole situation for school, the Minecraft would be the Minecraft you have to pay, but Kahoot is free, and if you want to update or to get more features about it, you paid. It's not so expensive. The autism I help is for free, so but you have to download only iOS because it is not working in Android. So, and this is what I bring it to you today. Sorry if I pass through the time because I speak too much, as you can see. I put there some blogs that are gonna help you and articles as for reference. And thank you so much for giving your time, your attention. And thank you, Joy. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Leah, and everybody else.
Amazing, Priscilla. Thank you so much. I think if we could all turn our webcams on and our microphones on and give Priscilla a round of applause for that really fab and thought-provoking presentation. I'm sure Priscilla's given us lots of strategies we can incorporate, and I can see it seems that there's going to be 1 or 2 Minecraft clubs which are going to be starting up as a result of this presentation. So a big round of applause for Priscilla now for absolutely great things. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I don't suppose you have a light on there, Priscilla. I don't know about me, but you're very dark there. Is it possible to turn?
I think I have a light. Just a minute.
That would be great.
I don't know. It's better. It is better. Because
sort
here.
of. Yeah, that's a bit better. Well, sort of.
So,
yeah. We can see your silhouette.
Oh yes. Okay.
It's okay.
Because
it's okay.
it is going to dark here in Rio because
Sure.
today it's raining a lot and it's cold. It's around, for us, it's cold.
Sure. Yeah.
It's around 14.
14 is cold for you, I see.
Because we here 14. Yes, it's too cold.
That was really great, Priscilla. Thank you so much. Helen, did you have any thoughts about Minecraft clubs or final comments?
Yes, well, I mean, and you might want to put your video on because we love to see you, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
No, Joe has really captured our enthusiasm. Thank you so much, Priscilla, for that. He had told me just how much you had to tell us about things. So that's great. And the fact that we've recorded this so people will be able to see it. And the needs and the strategies that you described, that really is, those are things which we all need to think about, don't we? And it's something which sometimes, with all of everything else going on at the moment, it may be that that's something we haven't thought enough about. So it's really good. Joe, thank you very much for asking Priscilla to bring that to us, which means that, you know, with our webinar series, you really have, Joe, thought through all of these different aspects. But thank yes, you. Personally for me, the Minecraft was the really, and I saw Kerry, that's what we're going to do, is it, Kerry? We're going to put something together. So I've, in fact, while you were talking, I just want to show off. Look, I have my
wow.
I can tell you all of the different, I haven't read it yet, but I know apparently with this book, I can do anything. And I also have my Minecraft combat book there. And
oh,
amazing.
I don't understand it, but it impresses children when I take it in with me. No, that's really, really good. Thank you ever so much, Priscilla, for that. Lovely. And perhaps we could take a little picture of those of us here with our webcams on. And we could have, in fact, how many people have got webcams on? I think we can fit everybody's webcam in. If we also have if you go back to your first slide, Priscilla, we could then have that.
All
and
right.
It's nice to have the slide and people's faces there.
Good idea.
Okay. A lovely, and also Joe had said how beautiful your presentation was.
Oh,
all the little tools. I love the background. Lovely.
There we are. Perfect.
Actually, what about the next slide? Put this the slide with the picture of the children on. Do you think that would be? No, perhaps the first one. Then we can. Well, I was just thinking. I suppose no. That's good because it's telling us what it is, isn't it? That's the session.
Okay.
Okay. And yes, Priscilla, we can't really see you that carefully. You've got a light.
Oh my gosh, no light. Here I have no light.
If you had a torch, Priscilla, you'd look very scary, I'm sure. If you had a torch underneath your chin. As if you were
that's a bit
this
better.
Is my house.
Yeah.
I think this is better. Better now.
A little bit.
Oh.
Now we have you in silhouette now.
We're a total right now.
Like a ghost.
We'll superimpose you. I took a picture earlier on. So here goes, everybody. And 1, 2, 3. There we are. And actually going to do another one because every time I go 1, 2, 3, I then put a very silly face as I do the 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. That's lovely. Great.
All right.
And
cool.
Yes, just to tell you as well, Priscilla, that in fact we did have, many people, but people obviously, it's a Saturday evening and they did have to leave, and you'll read afterwards.
Oh yeah, I know.
Thank you so much. So
no problem. It's okay.
Thank you. So thank you, Joe, as well.
That's okay, no problem at all. No, I thought it would be perfect to have some strategies around special educational needs, and I thought the way that Priscilla described the way that she involves the parents with the children, and that's why I asked the question about how the children reacted to that. I thought that was really, really interesting. So that I would imagine, particularly with special educational needs children, that that bond between the teacher and the parent and the child is particularly important. I would say. Is that right, Priscilla? Would you say? Are you still with us?
Sorry, Joey.
Yeah. Shall I say it again?
I didn't listen to you. Say again.
Okay.
Say again.
I was saying that I was particularly interested in the way you described how you connect with the parent as well as the child, and that must be so important to have that sort of three-pronged approach with the child, the parent, and the teacher all together. So I was just asking whether you agreed with that.
Yes, I totally agree, because what happens if I have this problem here at home. I have a child with a special need. If I do not approach the teacher to how can I work with him, I will be without any support. And if I do not support the teacher, because the teacher all the time, she trying to do her best, but most of the time she doesn't have the tools to help him. Yeah. So we have to be in contact with all the time. The school nowadays that my son is studying is an inclusive education, the inclusive school. They don't have this feedback that I have with the parents from my students, and I feel very, very sad, because I could help the teacher, giving them some advice, helping them, giving them opportunity to interact, but there are some schools that do not allow. That is the problem. This school that I have been work with, and the previous one that my son studied here in Rio, was open-minded. So traditional schools are really complicated to work with, because teachers is teacher, parents are parents, and the student is in the middle. So that is complicated to us to work with this. So you have to have a dialogue. Yeah. I know how my students interact in school. I can help you to interact at home, even more now during the pandemic, because we are outside school. So, and they need this. And that, of course, the teacher also needed to have the feedback. And when we don't see this kind of interaction between parents and the school, the child will not get any information, any how can I say, connection between these two pillars, because for me are three pillars: the student, the parents, and also the school.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's a perfect way to finish the presentation. It's so inspiring. Thank you so much for offering to do this. I think it's been a really interesting presentation, and as Helen was saying, because it's been recorded, it means people can then watch it back. The people that had to leave a little bit early, or the people who are interested in the topic but decided to do something else on a Saturday night. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
And thank you to all of the people who've come, who've been writing comments. I've just read what you've said, Joanna, about languages for all, which is something very close to my heart as well. And it's great that you're doing that, and you're managing to do it with 2 languages. So I think, Joanna, perhaps we need a webinar from you as well, which you could start it with a bit of brass band playing, and then we could have you. But that's lovely. It's really heartwarming to see that people have success there. Okay, thank you. Oh, and shall I stop the recording then now?
Yes, good idea. Thank you.